One of our favorite guests around here. I mean, she's changed our lives. I'm talking about Martha Stewart, and we're going to learn more about her.
We are going to learn, and it's very interesting. Her daughter, Alexis, has co-written a book, and let's just say she dishes on Martha a little bit. She says she, quote, lived with a glue gun pointed at her head. She says there was never any prepared food in the house, no lavish birthday parties. She said her mom hid out on Halloween. We're going to find out about all of this when we talk to Alexis in just a couple of minutes. Back now at 8:09 with the buzz over the new advice book, WHATEVERLAND, from Martha Stewart's daughter, Alexis. And in it, she has plenty to say about her upbringing and her famous mother. We're going to talk to Alexis and her co-author in just a moment, but first, more on the book.
Take a piece of cardstock the same width as your little candy bag.
For years, Uber hostess and domestic darling Martha Stewart carefully cultivated her image. But now Martha's only child, Alexis Stewart, shares an inside glimpse of growing up with her famous mother.
I'm Jennifer Hutt.
And I'm Alexis Stewart.
We have a TV show that's coming.
Alexis Stewart forged her own path, co-hosting Whatever with Alexis and Jennifer.
See how much fun it was to be Martha's daughter?
And then Whatever Martha, where the two made fun of past Martha Stewart living episodes.
She's anticipating how much fun it's going to be to scream at the crew after they're done filming.
Weeks before the release of their joint book, WHATEVERLAND, headlines painted a less than flattering side of Martha Stewart. Martha answered critics on her own show.
And it is hilarious, and it is enlightening, and it's full of funny stories. And I encourage you to buy it, read it, and make it a bestseller. So.
Alexis Stewart and Jennifer Hutt are with us now. And again, their book is called WHATEVERLAND, Learning to Live Here. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Well, Alexis, as you may have expected already, there's a lot of buzz about this book, in particular about what you said about your mom. And Jennifer, we'll talk about the book in a minute, but let's start with some of these choice quotes. The first one that caught a lot of attention was, Martha does everything better. You can't win. I grew up with a glue gun pointed at my head. If I didn't do something perfectly, I had to do it again, so I learned quickly. And you've said the glue gun comment was a joke, but is the larger point true? You had to be perfect for your mother?
No, the book is supposed to be funny, and everyone can make funny stories up about their families, and Jennifer does the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
And there were no glue guns, back then. I wish there had been. It would have been more fun. But she worked hard and was a perfectionist, and I don't have a problem with that.
You say it's not a tell-all. There's another quote that's gotten a lot of attention. There was never anything to eat at my house, you write. There were ingredients, but no prepared food of any kind. And you paint a portrait of you kind of having to forage for yourself. Is that true?
Well, a little bit. My mother was a caterer, and she worked very hard. We were not wealthy. And so there were ingredients. And was it annoying? Yeah. Did I get to go to my friend's house and eat junk food? Sure. And now I'm a great cook. And guess what? There's no prepared food in my house.
The next quote I have for you is a shocker during this time of year, Halloween. We just had Martha here last week with the cutest Halloween treats, and yet you write, Alexis, on Halloween when you were growing up, we turned off all of the lights, pretended we weren't home, and my mother never had anything but apples and pennies to annoy the children with. Can this be possibly true?
Of course, 1 or 2 years that was the case, and it was super fun to turn off all the lights and pretend we weren't home. She also hand sewed me a giant bunny costume and a hideous little Bo Peep costume. So there were plenty of years when
Did that get mentioned in the book?
No.
Okay. And the last one I want to ask you about, my mother used to have me wrap my own presents on Christmas. She would hand me things right before Christmas and say, now wrap these, but don't look inside. So I didn't, because I knew it was never worth looking. You know, I think the larger issue is all of these quotes, when you add them up, it sounds like you're saying your mom is more about the image, that the reality didn't quite measure up to what the world sees. Is that what you meant to say?
Not at all. I think the fact is, first of all, it's not a book about my mother.
No.
It's a book about growing up and learning to live with what happened or what didn't happen and being comfortable with all of that.
Your mom was quite gracious about it. In fact, as we just showed, she said, go out and buy the book. But I have to ask you, as a daughter, I mean, you talk about your mother's bathroom habits in particular.
I said that she left the door open when she peed.
Did you worry about embarrassing her?
No, why is that embarrassing?
Everybody pees. Some with the
Everybody
door
pees
open and some with the door closed.
and so I should have grown up in an uptight household where, you know, you're not allowed to talk about the fact that people actually have to urinate occasionally?
Well, Jennifer, let me ask you, because the book is called WHATEVERLAND.
Right.
And you guys have called it a non-self-help book. How would you
Here's the
describe
thing.
it?
Well, we were doing our radio show. We would hear time and time again people, women specifically, saying they didn't feel good about themselves. And they seemed to feel a little bit better when they'd hear that we felt horrible about ourselves.
So we're all terrible, just get used to it.
Kind of, and just be okay with it. Just move on from it. It's not that you don't want to better yourself. Of course, we all want to be the best that we can be, but you don't have to be miserable or just think that there's nothing good about you while you're trying to accomplish more.
You know, we talk about Martha, and I think both of you, your father, Jennifer, was an executive at Martha Stewart's company. You obviously her daughter, and both of you, I mean, your careers have largely been derived from her success. Do you think, even if in good humor...
In all fairness,
Yeah.
I mean, both of us have had other work even before we started doing the radio show. I'm a lawyer and a notary, which is really convenient. And Alexis had gyms and a hotel, and so we've done other things, and then we just ended up doing that.
And my friends have bought this book, and they're like, where's the dirt?
Yeah, okay.
There is none.
Well, let me ask you about something. You two were very good friends. You hosted the show together.
Yep.
And as we learn at the end of the book, you've broken up.
Yes.
Those are your words. What happened?
Things don't always...
6 years is a long time.
For anybody. We were together every day for 6 years doing a radio show 2 hours a day, and that sort of ends up being a little like a marriage, and as you know, not all marriages last forever.
I don't know if I'm projecting, but I felt a little tension when you guys just sat down together. Has it been a while since you've even been in each other's presence?
Yeah, I mean, we don't hang
We're
out
tense 'cause
anymore.
we're on television and we're not accustomed to it.
Yeah. So, I mean, friendships don't have to fall apart, although, Alexis, I couldn't help but notice one of your quotes in the book you write, "I love getting rid of friends. It's so much fun." What do you mean by that?
If you want to punish somebody, never talking to them again is a really good method.
Did something happen, or is this just a drifting apart?
I think it's a drift.
I think we're just different.
Well, you are very different.
Yeah.
That is apparent just from looking at the book. Jennifer, do you hope that this is a relationship that could be
Listen,
repaired?
I know Alexis well enough to know that if things are not, if she doesn't want to be involved in the relationship anymore, then that's how it is, and that's okay. I love her.
Some people, are clingy, and some people like to be by themselves. It's
I'm very clingy.
Doesn't make either person
right
bad. It just makes
which
it
is also in the book that which is something that when I was single I wish I had learned from Alexis, because girls typically, if a guy doesn't like us, we think there's something wrong with us. I mean, it shouldn't be that way, but it is, and really it's not that. It's just that you're not right for that person. So this was not a friendship that was going to last forever.
Okay, and last thing, you said in the book, Alexis, that you think people who are super close to their families are completely bizarre.
I did.
I guess we should assume from that you're not particularly close to your mom, or are you?
I'm very close to my mother, but not a single other person in my family.
Okay. So
Whereas
you're bizarre
yeah.
only with regard to your mom in terms of super
Correct.
closeness. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I live next door to my sister.
Okay.
So we're all...
Well, it is a very interesting book. Jennifer Koppelman-Hutt, Alexis Stewart. It's good to talk to you. And we want to remind everybody, the book is called WHATEVERLAND. And Alexis and Jennifer are going to come back in our next hour. We'll answer viewer emails. So send them in. If you have a question, head to our website, today.com. Coming up next, Ben Stiller on his... Martha Stewart's daughter, Alexis, is back, and she's answering your questions about growing up with a domestic diva. We'll talk about her new book, WHATEVERLAND, it's called, coming up after your local news and weather. All right, Al, thanks. Growing up, the daughter of Martha Stewart wasn't all domestic bliss, so says her daughter, Alexis Stewart. She and her former radio host partner, Jennifer Koppelman-Hutt, are out now with their new unself-help book, as they call it. It is called WHATEVERLAND, Learning to Live Here, and they have stuck around to answer your questions. Good morning again to both of you ladies. Well, let's talk about it. We went over last hour some of the quotes that are gotten some attention. Are you surprised that people are reading this book or reading about this book and have the perception that you're complaining about your childhood, that it's a tell-all about your mom, Martha?
But that's what people want to believe, because she is incredibly talented.
Well, haven't you kind of given them a little ammo here?
I think taken out of context, sure. I had a friend growing up, a friend who's my age, who grew up playing Topsy on Saturdays. and that was going and with his dad to the morgue, and they did autopsies because that's what his dad did for a living. And now he's a brilliant doctor. So that's, if I put something like that in, you'd be twisting it into something horrible.
Did you warn your mom at all, hey, this book is coming, some people might perceive it as me
All of
dishing
these
on
stories, Jennifer and I have told on the television show, on the radio. They're funny. Everyone has stories like this from their lives.
And nobody
Everyone.
has a perfect childhood.
Nobody.
you? Well, let's get to some of our viewer questions. The first one came from Mary in Daytona Beach, Florida. She says, Alexis, do you hope that you will have the same relationship with your daughter that you had growing up with your mother? What would you do differently?
Well, I think that being older than my mother was is a great help because I have much more life experience to look back on. But do I hope my daughter's close with me like I am with my mother? Of course.
Cheryl from Arcadia asks if you regret making public some of these less than flattering truths about your mother.
I don't think they're less than flattering. I think they're
Just truths.
just truths like everyone else. She's a human being, so am I, so is the lady who asked that question.
Did she see it coming? Did Martha know this was coming?
As I just said, these are stories that have been told over and over and over again.
Okay, we talked last hour about how the two of you, having hosted a show together for 6 years, are no longer friends.
It happens.
Deirdre asked, why write a book together if you're not friends?
Well, we wrote the book while we were still working together and still maintaining a good friendship. Things changed. When we wrote the book, everything in the book was
And it doesn't invalidate
it's
the
not.
book.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Everything in the book. Here's the book.
Yeah, you're
it's
selling
life
a book.
lessons. Listen, it's life lessons.
Right.
Everybody's life has great moments of joy and other moments of not such joy and moments of awkwardness and happiness and ease. So that's in the book and that's life.
Well, it's funny because just in the hour since we've talked, I've gotten a lot of tweets and people on Facebook asking me about it because this is curious to them, how it is that you could
don't
be
know.
friends
Listen,
for a long
women-
time and then suddenly not. I think people think, gosh, something must have happened. Who instigated
Nothing
the
happened.
breakup?
It's not like an instigated type thing.
I think one day you look at your husband, and you're like, oh, not
Right, that's how
anymore.
she looked at me.
Well, do you think, are you okay with that?
I mean, it's sad, but
Doesn't
am
that
I
hurt your
okay? Of
feelings?
course I'm okay. I have great friends. I have a full life. I have a terrific husband and
doesn't
two
need me. What
lovely
does she need me
kids.
for?
I mean, listen, would I be friends with Alexis still? Of course. Do I understand that I'm not really her type in terms of a friend? Sure, so it's okay.
Okay, but to the larger question, I mean, this is an advice book above all things. And if people are looking at you as dispensers of advice, what
Yeah.
are they to make of this?
So in other
Well,
words,
that never happens to other people, that they fall out of love? That never happens?
well, I
no
don't
one
know.
else has ever been dumped.
Yeah.
I think
That,
the
all
fact
those
that
stories are in the book.
Yeah.
So what do you do when you're dumped?
You're saying this is real. This is
we're
life.
saying that we're okay.
Yeah.
It's life, and it can be funny, and sometimes horrible things are happening to me, and I think, this is going to make a good story.
Amy from Ohio asked Jennifer, you seem like a very sweet girl. How has your life changed now that you and Alexis are not as close as you
Oh
used
my
to be?
goodness!
It's exactly the same.
It's listen. Do
I'll
I
answer for her. She
Listen,
doesn't use
do I miss her? Yes. Would I like to email Alexis and be like, "What's going on with the baby?" and what's this? Sure. But do I know that's not who Alexis is? Yes, and that's okay. It's about accepting who people are, what they want and don't want, and I'm okay with that. I have lunch with my girlfriends once a week. I do the radio show every day. Alexis doesn't want to do it anymore. Okay.
So you
I
would
still
be
do
friends
it.
with Alexis if you
Sure.
could, but Alexis, it doesn't
People-
go the other way.
People are different.
Yeah.
What are people to think of your relationship with your mother? I mean, I, for example, I covered her court case, and I know you were there almost every day. You really
I
stuck
was there
by
every
her.
day, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe you weren't there every day. but
Yeah,
I
so
was.
you were. So to your credit, you were there every day.
Well, of course. Why wouldn't I be?
So what's your relationship like? What would you want people to know about your relationship?
We're incredibly close, and we're both very opinionated people. So while we can be together having a nice time, we can also have an animated discussion / argument about something, because that's normal. So if we agreed on everything, how boring would that be?
Well, let me get back to something that I think touched a nerve with both of you when we talked about it last hour. I said that a lot of your success or your public image is derivative of Martha
Right.
Stewart.
That's true.
The book has Martha shot through it. The whole whatever
But that's
thing.
my life. Should I not talk about it?
No, what I'm
If your parent is a plumber, you might go into the plumbing business.
Not only
It's-
but none of your faucets would work in your house,
Well, that is true.
right? And there would be no prepared food in the refrigerator.
so you have no misgivings about sort of biting the hand that feeds.
We were
didn't
on,
bite.
Wait a minute, not only did we not bite, I mean, we had a radio show together for 5.5 years. Today is the 6th anniversary of that radio show. It's not like this is all from yesterday. And the book came out of listening to women who were asking for help and women who seem to be soothed by the fact that we have issues, tons and tons of issues, and we're happy to share them.
Actually, that leads me to a good final point, which what is the message that you hope people will take from this book?
That you can either be really sad about all the horrible things that have happened to you.
You think about a lot of horrible things happen to you?
That's the whole point. The book is funny.
Right.
We're taking everything and we're blowing it out of proportion as an example for how you can take your life and just laugh at it and then move on.
Okay. All right, Jennifer and Alexis, it's good to talk to you this morning. Thanks for being here. And a reminder to everybody, the book is called WHATEVERLAND, and it's in stores now. Appreciate it. Coming up next.